All right, my first question to you is, what has changed, what is changing now in German politics after the beginning of the Russian full-scale invasion of Ukraine?
Well, it's a constant progress. It's a constant development. It's not a static situation. We have different agendas that are changing from one term to another. At the beginning, the very hesitant agenda in terms of real ammunition and real weapons and arms support. A lot of pressure also on behalf of us as coalition members, the Greens, who were pro more massive help towards Ukraine. But now, and this is something that I'm really worried about, now we're back into the mode that we used to have before when we discussed Leopards and other arms. Now it's about Taurus, the Taurus rockets or missiles that is discussed now. We know that the Chancellor is once again is putting brakes on this development, and many of us, also within the Green Party, but also beyond that, are exerting more pressure. We know that Ukrainians are in desperate need of more and more heavy weaponry, and this is yet another chapter in this endless development. But yes, Germany has developed itself as a player on this field. Just compare it to the situation shortly before the war, where myself and our current Minister of Economy, Robert Habeck, were the two voices, lonely voices, who advocated for weapon and arms support for Ukraine. Everyone else, including the government, were against it. Now the situation is totally different.
Well, Russia has always been politically and economically close to Germany. At least we all know where Helmut Kohl, the former German chancellor, lives these days, in Russia. Nevertheless, my question is the following. In your opinion, have the mindsets of German politicians changed at the moment right now? And in what direction, if that is the case, or the attitude of the population regards of, the rising of inflation, the cost of heating, for example, still has a great deal of influence on the decisions of German politicians?
It's a complex and a very difficult relationship, a relationship about which I would rather say someone like a therapist should talk. I usually say, because I deal also with commemoration policies in Germany and have been writing about this, it's like watching a patient on a therapist couch, and you think that you uncover another and another layer of its subconsciousness, and yet there is always a layer that can surprise you. Yes, Germany had a close relationship with Russia, not only due to economic interests that are obvious, and you probably meant Chancellor Schröder, who is indeed alive and kicking and is quite involved in Gazprom business. But it is also about the wrongly channeled, I would say, responsibility, historical responsibility of Germany, where this responsibility, which is absolutely legitimate and an absolutely right lesson from German history, has been channeled towards Russia solely, alone, without understanding the diversity of the Soviet Union and the role of republics and inhabitants from Ukrainian Republic, from Georgian Republic, also in both suffering during the World War II, but also in combating the Hitler Germany. Everything is monopolized, or had been monopolized, by the Kremlin. And this is something that is changing now also in the population. Unfortunately, the price for it are countless lives of Ukrainians. But there is a difference now in how Germans look at Russia and at Ukraine and many other republics compared to 1.5 years ago.
Germany can fight back, of course, but what about Eastern Europe, Poland, Baltic states? Is it fair to assume that we still are having possibility of military escalation, say at Suwalski Gap, aren't we?
I think we have to take that seriously, and many of myself and many of our colleagues in the European Parliament have been always, for many years already, seriously warning about the security escalation and the security implications, especially for Central and Eastern Europe. I would not say that we should now start panicking. Why? Because in many cases, this is what Russia and Kremlin wants. It does want to intimidate our population. And many of those who say that we should settle now with Russia, that's what many people say. One of the arguments is, well, otherwise we are next. We don't want escalation. And from that perspective, we have to be also fair and to say that membership in NATO for many of those countries is the security insurance. And I don't see, apart from hybrid threats, and with Wagner Brigade, we will be watching this very closely, but regarding the kind of conventional threat by the Russian Federation, for now it is contained. But this is, by the way, an argument why Ukraine should also face a perspective and have a very tangible perspective of NATO membership, so that it is also safe in the future.